This is Grow Omaha Uncut, where you can watch our radio show, including what goes on in the commercial breaks. And be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons.
Well, good morning and welcome to the show. Jeff Beals here at your service. We're brought to you by Cheer Athletics and Dingman's Collision Center. Ladies and gentlemen, you will not find another show anywhere in town that focuses on business development, real estate construction, anything related to Omaha becoming more vibrant and more prosperous. My co-host, Trenton, has the weekend off, and in his stead, we have a familiar voice, Brad Williams. Good morning, Brad.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. Thanks for having me back.
Thanks for being here, as you often are. Of course, longtime listeners know that you are one of our key contributors, official videographer, official photographer, official aerial helicopter-based videographer of the Grow Omaha show. And when you're not doing that, you're at E&A Consulting, outstanding civil engineering firm, and then also the owner of Brad Williams Photography. You're a busy man.
Yeah, and then I got two kids that keep me running in between all that.
I know at least one of them's playing a lot of hockey.
Hockey, twice a week, and actually I'm missing his basketball game right now. I feel a little bad about that, but he understood that Jeff Beals is important.
Well, you tell him that Jeff appreciates that, and then I'll make his dad feel a lot better by reminding him that there'll be a lot more basketball games before the season's over.
Yeah.
That's one thing we know about youth sports, a lot of games. Well, let's get right into it. We have our news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. They know mortgages. I tell you what, 30-plus years in the mortgage business. Holly Schneiderwind is the head of the company over there, and she and her team just do such an outstanding job of taking care of home buyers, the borrowers. You know, for most people, buying a house is about the most expensive thing you have, the most expensive purchase you make, and you want Eagle Mortgage on your side to make it as positive as possible. So if you're thinking about getting a new piece of the American dream, or perhaps a bigger piece of the American dream than you have right now, contact Holly and her team. They'll sit down with you, they'll talk, and of course they're not beholden to any one bank, so that they can shop the market and get you the best deal. Doesn't matter what kind of loan you're getting. And then get that pre-approval letter. And as you go out there and get into that home selection and offering rat race, that pre-approval letter from Eagle Mortgage is like a really effective weapon in your arsenal. Okay, so let's get into it, Brad. One of the big pieces of news this week is that the Omaha Airport Authority held the official groundbreaking for the $950 million Eppley terminal expansion. Now, we have reported on plans about this when they were released in the middle of January, but we do have a couple of new things to report in regards to the airport terminal. First of all, not only did they do a ceremonial groundbreaking, but I've noticed the last time I took a flight about a week or two ago, they've actually started construction. On the east side of the terminal between the two satellites, they're removing concrete, and there's a lot of heavy machinery back there.
Yeah, you know, when plans are released, that's always fun, and you get to talk about what's coming. But when you actually see the groundbreaking happen, that's exciting because you know it's underway.
It's real. In fact, just a reminder for people, if you forgot this, the actual size of the terminal will go from 375,000 square feet terminally, currently at the currently up to 646,000 square feet, so close to doubling. It'll be a single unified concourse with a centralized TSA security screening checkpoint. We'll go from 20 to 22 gates. That doesn't seem like a big increase, but the number of gates is not the problem. It's the square footage that's the problem.
Yeah, the amenities in there, that airport, the Omaha Airport Authority does a great job with what we have. They keep it very nice and clean. But, just I was flying out on a Saturday morning, and the line for a coffee, something so simple, was so long that I just said, skip it. I'll wait till I get to my destination. Oh, yeah.
The line at the scooters in the North Terminal sometimes I think is longer than the flight you're about ready to take.
Or longer than the TSA line sometimes.
Oh, truly? Yeah. Yeah, because I'm pre-check. I usually go through pretty fast.
Yeah. And the key with that 22 gates is when this is all done, it will be easy to add on more gates as they're needed down the road.
Also very exciting, 2 of those gates will be international travel enabled. There will be a Customs and Border Protection arrivals hall for international passenger processing. It was interesting, KETV this week reported that there's a really good chance we'll have regularly scheduled international flights at the time or shortly after this expanded terminal opens. It'll be 100% done in 2028, although for those of you who are sitting there thinking, oh my God, 2028, that's like a big part of my lifetime away. You'll actually be using new parts of that terminal in probably less than 2 years.
Yeah, because they have to build the new middle part, and then they start adding on to that. So.
Yeah, so this is when it's like finally done. And KETV reported that it's expected that some of the airlines, one of the airlines, might have a regular daily or a couple times a week nonstop, and looking at the most likely destinations being Cancun, Cabo San Lucas, Puerto Vallarta, or those are in Mexico, and then Montego Bay in Jamaica. That would all make sense. If I had to bet money, my bet is the first nonstop international at the new Eppley is Cancun.
Yeah, and that's a very popular destination for people around here this time of year to get away from this cold and snow.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll keep our eye on that. That's a big deal. We talk about Eppley and flights and aviation quite a bit on this show just because really good airport facilities and a lot of good nonstop flight options are really important to economic health of a market area and growth economically as well. So we'll definitely keep our eye on this airport news as we move forward. Well, let's go about 20 some miles to the southwest, and we are now in the city of Gretna. The city has acquired a 35-acre undeveloped property. This is between U.S. Highway 6 and Gretna's brand new Gretna Crossing Park. For those of you that are familiar with the immediate area, it's north of Jansen Drive. And in this 35-acre lot, it's currently just agricultural fields. This is going to be the new core of the city. Not a new downtown, but a new core of the city. Going to build a new city hall there, a new library, and probably a few other buildings on that site. But this is yet another sign, especially in light of what we talked about last week on the show with plans in and around Nebraska Crossing, for Gretna to grow up and to become a bigger city. It's already the fastest growing one around.
Yeah, and actually it's growing fast in like 4 different directions right now. I mean, because the 370 corridor is just exploding. And then there's still a lot of development going on Highway 6 north of Gretna. So this, it's probably what Nebraska's fastest growing city, I would assume.
Yeah, I was talking with the mayor of Gretna not too terribly long ago, and he was estimating population is probably up around 10,000. Which, compared to 70,000 in Bellevue is not huge, but you consider it was 5,000 like a couple minutes ago.
I was just saying, at the last census, I was thinking it was 5,000 or 6,000, so 10,000, it's nearly doubled.
It's popping up there pretty fast. And the school district in Gretna, which of course is technically separate from the city, is growing really fast as well.
They have schools going up everywhere.
And then their new high school opened recently. So, we'll plan on continuing to see explosive growth in the Gretna and the immediate surrounding area. So some of you who take 72nd Street probably noticed, a few years ago, a sign that said Rocket Car Wash coming soon for a very unique, long, thin piece of land on the east side of 72nd Street, immediately south of Farnham. That's just a little bit south of Dodge. And if you can picture that site, there's one of the world's biggest wooden retaining walls holding up the neighborhood to the east. And so the thought was for this Rocket Car Wash to be along there. The sign's been there for seemingly ever. And apparently that might not be in the works anymore, Brad.
No, that lot was put back on the market a week ago.
Yeah, listed for $3.35 million. I can't say that I'm shocked. Nothing against Rocket Car Wash, but I think that could be a difficult lot. It could scare some people away.
Yeah, it's a real thin lot, like you mentioned, and then depending on what kind of, I'm guessing the city would want a little right of way, and then the setbacks with the neighborhood to the east. There's not in my opinion, much buildable area there. And it would probably take some waivers from the Zoning Board of Appeals to get anything done there.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could just be a little bit tricky. But that said, location-wise, it's phenomenal because you are, just a couple blocks off of the most important intersection in the state of Nebraska. 72nd Dodge is not the busiest. It's one of the top 3 or 4, but it's probably the most important when you consider what happens there.
Be right across from the brand new library and the crossroads that's going up. So
yeah, the library is looking impressive. The steel is going up on that thing really fast. That is definitely going to be an architectural landmark. Seems to be going up a little faster than I would have guessed, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd call it topped out, but I mean, there's a lot of steel there. I can't be too much more, I would assume.
Yeah, it's coming along. And a lot of people keep asking us about the crossroads. When are we going to see more stuff there? We don't know. We do know that it's a hell of a development and pretty complicated.
Yeah, it seems like anytime we put anything on our social media, that's one of the questions. Even if it has nothing to do with the crossroads, the people always ask when it's going to start. We get messages in. And I guess we've talked about this a few times, but last year in 2023, they put in all the infrastructure. The roads are in, the sewers are in, the water lines are in. So everything that needs to go in the ground and below the ground is in there now. So, and they've said all along that 2024 is when you would start seeing buildings going up. So we don't know when in 2024, but everything is in place where a building could start going.
Well, yeah, and like I say, it's very complicated for a lot of different reasons. And I think sometimes we've seen so much growth and so much development happen so fast in this town in the last few years. If you see one that's kind of taking more of a traditional timeline, people are thinking, what's wrong? What's wrong? Well, it's a $600 million plus development, and it's complicated, and some of these things take a while.
Yeah, and this is just like a new development out in West Omaha where, say like 204th and Q right now, they're putting in all the roads and utilities, and it's the exact same thing. They're starting basically from scratch. They tore everything down, scraped the site, and they're starting over. So there's a lot of prep work in between.
Well, let's look downtown a little bit for a couple minutes. And the ice skating rink at Heartland of America Park, from all indications, was a smash hit this winter. And as we all know, we're enjoying this beautiful early spring right now, so ice skating is done.
Yeah.
It's been too hot for that ice down there.
So I'm disappointed. As much as my son and I are on the ice, we never made it to ice skating.
Well, you guys were on some indoor ice, though.
Yeah, a lot of indoor ice. But we have our rollerblades, so we will get down there for sure.
I tell you, that skating ribbon is so cool. I have not ice skated since I was in high school, so I probably am not going to ice skate on it. But I did enjoy going down there a couple times during the Christmas season when the lights were all in place. And gosh, there were just so many skaters on that thing. But it's being converted to roller skating right now.
Between the holiday lights and then the fire pits and everything, it just had such a neat feel to it.
Yeah, and some of those times when you'd be down there, it was like you were in a Hallmark movie because everything was so idyllic and practically perfect in every way.
Did some girl come back home and meet her old boyfriend?
Yeah, because she was in New York City and
he owned a Christmas tree farm or something.
Even though that she was devastatingly gorgeous, she could never get a date. Yeah. And then the fireman she meets back in Omaha is like widowed, and he can never get a date. Yeah, that's how it works.
Yep.
I'm sure that happened a couple times at Heartland of America Park this Christmas season. Well, just a little bit south of there, Omaha's Henry Dorley Zoo and Aquarium has welcomed yet another baby elephant. This is really cool. A male calf was born this past Sunday. That is the fifth, count them, fifth elephant calf born in Omaha in the past 2 years. The local population of elephants in this town is now 10.
It's crazy. I cannot, when they first brought them here and they were hoping to, grow the herd, I never would have expected 5.
I tell you, something is in the water at 13th and Deer Park. But that is your news of the week, which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. EagleMortgageCompany.com is where you can find them online or in person at 114th and Davenport. We're going to take our first break of the hour, and when we come back, Brad and I are going to be talking about 4 or 5 different construction projects either underway or about to get started in the metro area. You don't want to miss any of that. You're listening to Grow Omaha. Brad Williams is in, substituting for Trenton Magid. We're brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
I'm sure Trenton would have had some very off-humor joke about elephant reproduction.
Oh, yeah.
I should have had something queued up and ready.
He's responsible for 2 of those babies.
I can see him saying that.
And we
I'm responsible for 2 of those.
and we thought it was Callie, the 23-year-old male who moved to Wichita. What a total dick guy move. By the way, you father 5 children and you're off to Wichita. Wash your hands completely. Wash your hooves completely. No responsibility.
Have any of the
Doesn't
other?
have any say in that.
That's true. He was like transported out.
I'd say so. They split that herd up into 3: Omaha, Dallas, and Wichita.
Yeah.
Have the other zoos had any?
I don't know, but he hasn't been down to Wichita for very long. Maybe maybe he's exhausted.
There's other males in the. I don't know.
He's probably having the time of his life.
Yeah.
He's got high success rates, so everyone wants it.
He's down there. It's like, you guys wouldn't believe the action I had up in Omaha. You guys wouldn't believe
I had to leave because of all the drama.
what I got done in Omaha. You guys got to go there sometime.
Tell him I sent you.
Just hope they relocate you. Yeah. Sorry, folks. For all 75 of you that watch this, I'm sorry. On that note. So we've got 36 in Leavenworth, Boho Flats, Grace Hill Church, 19th and Farnham, and the Granada Royale. 1980, I could have sworn, like, when I was a little kid, my grandparents took me to the rodeo at Exarban, and I thought we went there before the rodeo, but maybe I'm mixed up with something else. And that would have been like 1976, 1977 or something like that. But we're talking about when this building was constructed.
Yeah. Was there something else around there that would have at that time?
Maybe? Yeah. Or maybe we went to somewhere and that was under construction or something like that. Or... I can also remember when I was a kid, a couple times we went to a Sunday morning brunch there shortly after it opened, and like walked in and you like looked up, there was nothing like that.
The atrium.
Yeah, like having that big atrium like that. And thought we were like a different planet.
So I don't think I've been in there since I was a little kid, but I'm guessing as an adult I walk in, it doesn't look as big as it used to.
Probably not, yeah. Because then it became an Embassy Suites, and it looked like it was built to be an Embassy Suites.
But there's other hotels in other cities that were that same atrium thing, but it was 12 stories tall. Then
yeah, way taller, yeah. I stayed at this hotel in Fort Collins, Colorado last month, and just a piece of crap. And you can tell that it was originally an Embassy Suites, but it had just kind of not been cared for at all. But it was, well, all right, here we go.
Where can you find conversations about the pay for superintendents, where In-N-Out Burger has been in Omaha, and your 4 favorite fictional cats? Only on the Emery Sunger podcast page at KF.
It's quite an eclectic list that Emery has there. You are listening now, though, to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, along with Cheer Athletics. And ladies and gentlemen, Cheer Athletics is a great option for your kids, for your grandkids, for your nieces and nephews, whatever. But you may have a kiddo in your life that wants to start or improve their tumbling and cheer skills. And Cheer Athletics takes stunting and tumbling skills to an entirely next level. It started in Dallas. It is now spread to select cities across the United States, Omaha being one of them. And they teach kids to be very active, very competitive, to get confidence in themselves, to learn teamwork and communication, and also have just a great, great time. So if you're thinking for your son or daughter, Cheer Athletics might be a good option for them, you have a couple options. You can stop by the location, which is in Papillion, southwest of highways 50 and 370, or go to caomaha.com, CA as in cheer athletics, caomaha.com, and join the All-Star Cheer Revolution. Also brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center. Brad Williams is in for Trenton Magid. Trenton's got the weekend off. Brad is with ENA Consulting, Brad Williams Photography, and does a lot of stuff as part of the Grow Omaha team. And so, Brad, we're going to talk about a little bit of construction. That is one of the red meat topics that we have here on Grow Omaha. And we're going to start first at 36th and Leavenworth. And there is a classic urban infill project occurring at that spot. It is going to be a 4-story apartment building, 20-some units. It's only on a quarter-acre site. It's sandwiched between a quick shop and a 3-story mixed-use type building. But what's really cool about this project is it's a sign that urban Omaha is growing up and becoming what we think it can be, when suddenly little quarter-acre sites that seem to be little throwaway lots are getting, 4-story buildings with 20-some units.
Yeah, that's a project I'm familiar with. We did the work on it at ENA, and it is a tiny lot, but when you see the renderings, the building comes off as a lot bigger than the quarter-acre you're describing there.
Yeah. And if you think about it, if you think about some of the buildings in downtown Omaha, 5, 6, 8, 9-story buildings in some cases that are on lots that are like not even a quarter of a block.
Yeah.
You can put a lot of building on a little piece of land if you've got the infrastructure around it and parking options or transit options nearby.
So yeah, this one will have the parking on the ground floor and the apartments will be above it. It's on the it's a TOD zoning, so they were able to cut back the number of parking stalls required a little bit. There is one parking stall for each unit, but not all the extras that a lot of apartments are required to have.
And when Brad says TOD, that stands for transit-oriented development. So in other words, it's within enough blocks of the future streetcar line that you can get by with less parking than some other buildings might be required to have.
Yeah, I believe the city is allowing the TOD zoning to go a few blocks south of Leavenworth. So some of those other new projects in that area have been able to use the TOD zoning to cut back their parking a little bit.
Another project in Little Bohemia in South Omaha, right at 13th and Pine Street, we have the Boho Flats. Boho, probably related to Little Bohemia, right? Boho Flats going to be a 4-story building, 59 apartment units, 5,000 square feet of retail space. It's not going to be as small of a lot as the one we were just talking about, but it's another great urban infill project. And that one's gone vertical, meaning some of the concrete and rebar walls are now going up above the ground.
Yeah, the 13th Street corridor is a great area, and this is the sign, probably one of the second new construction project in that area. And it's really going to help transform that area. There is some very nice businesses, some very nice historic buildings, but there's also a lot of area that needs improvement, and this is going to start that.
Way out at 188th and Harney Street, structural steel is now in place for Grace Hill Church's future building. And this is that area that is referred to as Avenue 1. If you can picture the Fountain Ridge Office Park with that really cool Waterford building with the fountain in front of it, it's just a little bit south of that area. And things are starting to sprout up in that 192nd and Dodge development area.
Yeah, there's a lot of development going on in there. There's apartments, there's some senior living. The Greek church is going up, and this is just to the southeast of all that. Another project that's been through planning board they call them cottages. That should get going this year, I believe, and it should really start taking off. Okay,
now I'm going to throw out a little piece of trivia for old timers like me, people who've been around this town for a long time. There was a hotel at 72nd and Cedar called, I'm not going to say the name because this is the trivia question. You got to guess the name. And since we can't hear you, we don't know whether you're guessing it or not, but go with it anyway. It was about 6 or 7 stories, had an interior atrium, very similar to an Embassy Suites. In fact, it was eventually turned into an Embassy Suites. Who out there knows what it was called when it was built in 1980? Going once, going twice. If you said Granada Royale, you guessed it right. When that thing opened in 1980, it was a big deal. Granada Royale, 72nd and Cedar Street. Eventually, like I said, it became an Embassy Suites. Then for a while, it was called Exarban Suites. Now it's an eyesore with a fence and weeds around it. But developer is taking it over and has plans to start construction to turn it into 181 apartments. It's almost a 200,000 square foot building, which is impressive when you consider there's a huge atrium in it. But that's a good sign. And you think about it, Brad, that's just one of many multifamily projects going on, say, within a mile or two radius of Exarban Village.
Yeah, it's another great infill project in a building that kind of probably passed its useful life, and it's going to be great having residents in that area. Between that and then the new apartment building just getting started at 72nd and Mercy, they got a couple nice apartment buildings.
Yeah, and then at MH Landing, right by I-80 and Grover, there's like a 4 or 5 story huge apartment building.
Yeah, that was in the last construction video. I was going in there to film a couple other things, and I was surprised to see that one had got off the ground as much as it had.
Yeah, that's a big building.
Yeah.
It's only about 4 or 5 stories, but it's just long. It's huge. Yeah. And then our last construction project before we break for the news is at 1904 Farnham Street. 1904 Farnham Street. There's a 7-story building, historic building on the National Register. Neeraj Agrawal's development company plans to turn that into 54 affordable apartment units, would still have 6,000 square feet of street-level retail space. That seems like a great adaptive reuse to me.
Yeah, it'll be right catty corner from the city-county building, so a lot of daytime traffic in that area, and it should be a good reuse.
Well, let's break for the news. Brad Williams is in here for the vacationing Trenton Magid.
The recently aged Trenton Magid. He celebrated a birthday this week.
That's true. His birthday was on Wednesday.
And he would want everyone to know it was his birthday.
Should we tell everyone how old he is?
That's up to you.
Well, he's eligible for the over 55 menu at Jimmy's Egg now.
All right.
If that's your hint. But yeah, so if you see Trenton, wish him a happy belated birthday. We even let him take the day off for it. Anyway, you're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Cheer Athletics and Dingman's Collision Center on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
You didn't choose to get into an accident, but you have a choice of where to get your
He's eligible for the over. I keep saying that because when I was in Oklahoma City a couple of years ago, I was like, I just want poached eggs, bacon, and hash browns. Like, well, that's on the over 55 menu. And I said, can I qualify? They're like, well, we don't card you.
How's that?
You can order from that menu. It's just
Geared
Like, if
towards
you were
those people.
18, would they allow an 18-year-old? I mean, because you're clearly not anywhere near
I
55.
would imagine most people don't do it because they think it doesn't apply to them, but I think anyone would probably do it.
Why would they care, right?
Yeah.
Because that's perfect for me, because I hate toast with breakfast. That's just carbs.
Hello, Grow Omaha fans.
It's just carbs. I can't have, if I'm having hash browns, I can't have 2 carbs. I can only have 1 carb. Although I violated it today because I had the English muffin with the hash browns and our eggs Benedicts.
Yeah, but those are worth it.
God, that was good.
Can
How
you
was this?
imagine if they carded someone for breakfast?
And of course, we would revert to all of our tactics before we were 21. Oh, I forgot my ID. Well, how'd you drive here?
Where champions are made.
I was out
I don't remember.
at one of the local grocery stores the other day, and they carded this guy, but they didn't ask for his ID. They just said, "How old are you?" And he goes, "Or what year were you born?" And he said, "1941," or whatever. And I'm like,
That's good enough.
"It's good enough." And he just goes, "Okay, what was the day or the month?" And I was like, "He's born in 1941. Just make up something in your computer already."
Just look at him.
Yeah.
That's what I said to my grandma. I used to drive my grandma to Osco, a drugstore at 120th and Center, where she would buy lots of alcohol. And I wasn't 21 yet, and she had forgotten her ID, and they had come up with this new policy.
Yeah.
And they're like, we have to card everyone. And she's like, well, I don't have an ID. And they're like, what about you? I'm like, I'm not 21. And they're like, sorry, we can't sell it to you. And she's like, really? I've been coming here for years and years. And they said, we cannot sell alcohol to anyone who doesn't have an ID. And I'm like, she's old enough, and I put her. I'm like, look at her. And my grandma just gut punched me. I'm like, just look at her.
Did Oscar leave when Albertsons left?
I don't know, because they became. I think. Yeah, they're pretty much all gone. Like, they didn't become anything either, did they? They just.
I would thought they were part of Albertsons.
Left.
And when Albertsons left, they left.
Okay.
Grocery chain?
Yeah.
You guys had Albertsons?
Yeah.
And before it
Safeway
was.
too, right?
What's that?
You had Safeway.
We had Safeway. We lost Safeway in the early '80s.
Okay.
Yeah, Safeway was early '80s
Those
when
are
they
like
left.
the big two out in Washington.
So,
Albertsons and Safeway.
a lot of the family fairs you see are old Albertsons.
Really?
Yeah. The Hy-Vee at 120th.
Sunshine, 62 degrees later this afternoon, 34 overnight, then 65 tomorrow, and a high of 76 on Monday with a chance of snow on Tuesday. 35 now in Omaha, Council Bluffs, 37 in Lincoln. Grow Omaha returns in 2 minutes on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
The Hy-Vee at 120th and Center was a Safeway when we first moved to that neighborhood in 1979. And then like the Bakers. Yeah. Oh yeah, it became a Hy-Vee, then became the Bakers. But it was a Safeway originally. Then it became a Hy-Vee.
But it was one of those old Hy-Vees that was tiny and grungy.
Because they just moved right into the old Safeway building. And then the Nuestra Familia stores used to be Safeways. Yeah.
When did Albertsons left in 2006, 2007?
Yeah, something like that.
Mid-2000s.
As a kid, they used to always get their French bread on the spaghetti night at home.
Oh,
The French bread was always good.
I remember that.
the baked-in house.
Yeah, but if you go at the right time, it's still warm.
yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they do it like that anymore. But
We almost never went to Albertsons where they heard because there wasn't one close to where we lived. Yeah.
No, we didn't
That
go
was my
there either.
neighborhood, 108th and Q.
Oh yeah, I take that back. For 1 year, we lived in an apartment when we first got married at 108th and Harrison. We would go to that Albertsons. Yeah, that was the only time.
Yeah.
And they had
You were talking a moment ago. I remember my dad sent me there on my bike to get him a pack of smokes when I was a little kid, because we kind of knew everyone in there. And she's like, "Well, I could probably do that today. Hang on, let me check." Oh, the boss said I can't. I told him, I know your dad, and I know you won't smoke them. You know, you could do that in 1986.
Well, when my mom was a kid, she would go get a 6-pack of beer for my grandpa, and they would sell it to her.
Yeah.
In the 50s, they didn't care. Can you imagine now? Like a little 8-year-old comes and buys a 6-pack of beer for her dad.
for that place to get shut down so fast.
There'd be
The social
rioters
media
protesting
outrage,
the next day.
All the caravans.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is that Motel 6 over there, you could go in the side door and there was a vending machine where you could buy cigarettes for like 75 cents. So we'd go in there with a couple of quarters, put them in the vending machine just because we could.
Get the smokes.
Yeah.
Free and convenient on our iHeartRadio app. Free never sounded so good. For music, sports, talk, and podcasts.
And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beal sitting next to Brad Williams, who is substituting for the birthday boy Trenton Magid. We're brought to you by Cheer Athletics and Dingman's Collision Center, 4 metro area locations. And I don't think any one of the 4 is better or worse than the other. They're all good. So if you get into an accident near the 120th and Maple location, go to 120th and Maple. If someone runs into the back of you in Midtown, hit the Saddle, no pun intended, hit the Saddle Creek location. They're all good. They all do outstanding work. They're all run by the Dingman's family, who puts their heart and soul into every project that they do. They've been doing it a long time. Best of Omaha award winner, year after year after year, Dingman's Collision Center. All right, Brad, it's time for our commercial real estate development spotlight. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
It's brought to you by Noddle Companies. They are the premier real estate developer in town, but they don't just work in Omaha. They're all over the country. Here in Omaha, they are famous for Exarban Village, River's Edge in Council Bluffs, right along the Missouri, the Builders District in North Downtown, Steel Ridge in the Papillion-Gretna area, and the Village Point West Medical Campus, and countless other headquarters projects. You know, like Valmont has a new headquarters that they moved into a year or two ago. Noddle Companies did that. At any rate, at Exarban, we have a new retail update. It's kind of in that Exarban area. It's not technically Exarban Village. It's on the edge in a retail strip called Exarban Cinema. But in that space, we have a new restaurant called Blue Hawaii. Just the name makes me want to go there. Blue Hawaii. It's a new sushi restaurant. They're taking 2,000 square feet at 1301 South 72nd Street. This is the same center that has Starbucks, Jersey Mike's. There's a ramen place there that's relatively new. Anything what's new, what's unique about Blue Hawaii, it's a spinoff of the Oma Poke and sushi restaurant. I think that's how you pronounce it. Oma. I've been there before. It's really good. 124th and West Dodge Road. It's a new concept from them. So they'll have the sushi, the poke bowls, and that sort of thing. And that is your commercial real estate development spotlight of the week, brought to you by Noddle Companies. You can learn more about Noddle Companies at noddlecompanies.com.
You know, something cool about Exarban Village that we don't talk about is before a UNO hockey game, they send the pep band over and they walk around and they go in the different restaurants and bars and play their drums.
Really?
And then they kind of do like this march through the Exarban Village and then cross the street into Baxter Arena. It's a super cool tradition they started when the Baxter opened, and it's a lot of fun. And you see, like Backlot Tap House, they posted a video of all the everyone in the restaurant was cheering along with them. It was kind of fun.
I never knew they did that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I've been to a couple UNO hockey games, but I've just usually had to go straight from the car to the arena.
Backlot and Paulie's and all those. Yeah, it's a cool tradition.
Yeah, Backlot is great, by the way.
Oh, I like it.
That if you want to go to a place before a game down there where the food is really good, that's a good choice. And then the theater's right there and everything else. Exarban's fun, and it's only going to get better as more and more stuff goes in there. You know, they still have plans to build a couple substantial buildings in the Exarban area that haven't even been started yet.
Yeah, right next to HDR's garage.
Well, Thursday night, Brad, Omaha Streetcar held an open house, kind of a question and answer session for the public, if you will. It was at the Kimpton Cottonwood Hotel in the Blackstone District, and we wanted to talk about that a little bit. A couple of things that came out during that meeting. The design is now 60% complete, and actual bona fide real streetcar line construction is scheduled to begin late this summer. So you'll actually see some construction starting with that. But the design work 60% complete. There's some preliminary work that has been happening, is currently happening right now. For instance, along Farnham Street at around 17th and 18th Street, a lot of underground utility work that is necessary for part of this project. And the opening still remains the same, winter of 2026, 2027. So we're a couple of years away from this because it's a big project. But Brad, one of the more dramatic things that has to be done construction-wise in order for the streetcar to open someday is replacing a couple bridges over Interstate 480.
Yeah, that's I heard might start this year yet, and they start getting those tracks into the bridges.
Yeah, this would be both the Farnham and the Harney Street bridges. Both of those, it's my understanding, are going to be completely replaced. Yeah, like I don't know if they're going to get rid of the vertical supports, but like
you got to tear off the deck, and
the deck is going to be all brand new.
Track and,
yeah, so that's a key part, and then the tracks will be on there, and of course for those of you that have been following this. On the urban side or the east side, it'll start at about 10th and Capitol. And it will go down the 10th Street corridor. Actually, part of it for one direction will go over to 8th Street. And the maintenance facility is going to be built underneath the Interstate 480 bridge. I kind of get the impression they might start that this year as well. And then it'll go down and turn west on Farnham Street. And it'll go all the way out to 39th Street, right in the Blackstone District. Then it'll come back on Farnham Street. But when it's going eastbound, when it gets to Turner Boulevard, it'll go a block south and then come back to 10th Street on Harney Street through the downtown area.
Now, they have cut that west end back a little bit, they said, to allow UNMC time to plan how that's going to interact with their campus. So, originally I think they were shooting for more 42nd Street area, but now it's 39th temporarily or in this first phase.
When I talk to some of the people who are in the know on that project and they talk off the record in the kind of rumor mode, they tell me that the UNMC extension could even happen right about the time this thing's supposed to open. So it's not like it's like a 5 year later thing. It's just that UNMC is still working out a few things because we expect massive building construction to happen pretty soon on the UNMC campus, and maybe even some things that have not yet been announced. And so I think there's been some hesitation. Let's say, hey, let's not go too wild and crazy with this UNMC part till we know exactly what campus is going to look like.
Yeah, and that always, disappoints a few people that wanted it to go all the way to the Med Center. But, planning now could save a lot of headache down the road. So it's good to see him think about these things.
Well, and 39th is not that far.
No, not.
And unless it's, 12 below zero, walking over to 39th Street to catch the streetcar from the heart of the Med Center isn't the end of the world, especially knowing that it's likely to get better pretty soon. The other thing is there's talk that eventually it might go north of Capitol Street on 10th and up closer to the front door of the CHI Health Center. And then we keep hearing that Council Bluffs is very, very serious about getting a spur that would lead from, call it 8th and Farnham all the way into downtown Council Bluffs, which would be longer than even the Omaha route.
Yeah, that whole corridor where it would go in Council Bluffs is just ripe for development. So that would be a great addition for them.
We'll keep our eye on that, as we do with all stories relevant to Grow Omaha. But it's time for our final break of the hour. And when we come back, it'll be the lightning round. I'm looking at the list, and I'm seeing a lot of things on it. So stick with us. We're going to talk about a lot of new restaurants and retail business. You're listening to Jeff Beals and Brad Williams in for Trenton Magid on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
You didn't choose to get into an accident. You have a choice of working
Show is flying by. I mean, it always flies by, but today is going faster than normal.
Flying faster than normal.
Hair shop that's been the top show in Omaha for over 20 years.
And then I get to relive it.
Yeah.
Me too.
I'll
I'll have it posted here in a couple of hours, Jeff.
Oh, thank you very much.
I can do that during the commercial breaks of Mr. McCann.
Okay. Well, Chris is very grateful of that early posting,
Yeah.
so we can.
I don't know if that'll.
This is
It
Chris
depends on who we are able to get in here. Probably a couple of
Do
weeks.
you have an athlete?
I just emailed 2 people I'd interviewed.
good.
Late yesterday, I got the notification. All right, you can hire someone. So I got the official job posting, emailed them the link, highly encouraged them to apply. Both of them have been told about Trenton. And
they're still willing to
and they
take the
still
job?
wanted the job. So
Is it that bad of a job market out there?
Yeah. They must be really desperate. They're probably watching this right now, and they're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't take that job. Maybe I shouldn't take this job.
Have them watch a few clips of Grow Omaha. And
Yeah, know what they're getting into.
Show them the one where you guys were. Trent was supposed to talk about and mechanical for Dingman. But
The blooper one.
the blooper one, yes. When you were talking about Dingman, and
I love that
you
one.
planned it out all before the show or before the commercial break.
It was so bad that I think a lot of people probably thought that was fake when you put that clip on Facebook.
Oh, that is Trenton.
Because we were like, okay, this is what we're going to do, and I'm going to say Dingman's Collisions are pointing.
Yeah.
Just as planned.
He's trying to blame
He's
you.
What?
Thanks, Jeff.
Oh, sorry, Jeff. What was I supposed to say?
He tried to blame you for that.
We gotta dig that one up and put it back up on
It's on the YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can pin it to the top.
We gotta
if you
put
want.
it higher, like on the Facebook.
Or you could, what's it called? Like where you have different or not channels.
Playlists.
Yeah, different. You can make a blooper playlist and
I have one. We just need to have some more
bloopers.
good bloopers. Yeah.
Some of them.
I got a few audio ones.
What will you do with the?
Just, I think when he was recording stuff and it was so entertainingly bad, it would save it. I got a million of Gary.
That's not like you, Jeff.
I can imagine.
You got a folder of nothing but bloopers.
Yeah.
Nominate your hero by March 13th at DJ's Hero.
And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals sitting next to Brad Williams, who is substituting for Trenton, taking the weekend off. And we're brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, along with Cheer Athletics Highway 50 and 370 in Papillion. It's our lightning round in which we talk about a lot of things in a short period of time. And so let's get right into it. We've got Lit Cigars and Spirits Lounge planning to open in September or October in a building currently under renovation on the northwest corner of 16th and Cumming Street North downtown. The business has already received its alcohol and tobacco licenses. I talked to the owner just this week. Plans call for a wraparound outdoor patio. They're trying to see if they could make a rooftop deck work. That would have some really cool views.
Yeah, Grow Omaha's a big fan of rooftop decks. So
I would go to a rooftop deck every day I possibly could if it was a weather option.
I know we've talked about it a million times on this show, but there's just not enough of them in Omaha.
No, there really aren't, and everyone loves them. So I hope that happens. But even if it doesn't, it's going to be really good, high quality cigars, high quality spirits. They'll have that option. They're not going to have food there, but like you can get the food from the nearby restaurants and have it brought in. So we'd been hearing for a while, Brad, that Let It Fly, which opened last year in the Capital District downtown, wanted to have a second location out west in the former and somewhat controversial Barrel and Vine space. Well, that appears that, yes, it is true. The actual address is 1311 South 203rd Street, southeast of 204th and Q. I think Let It Fly out there is going to be a big hit.
Yeah, it should be. The one downtown super cool, and I can only imagine the one out west will be just as popular.
I've been pleasantly surprised with Let It Fly. A relative who lives in South Dakota told me, the one up here in Sioux Falls is not that good. And I had low expectations, but I've been to the Let It Fly downtown Omaha like 3 or 4 times, and every time it's just been like between very good and great.
And whenever you're downtown, walk over to the stairs that go upstairs.
Yeah.
There's a huge picture, a couple of mine, one of Rosenblatt Stadium and one of TD Ameritrade Park.
Oh, really?
And then inside the restrooms, there's Creighton and UNO pictures that I took.
I know those pictures inside the restroom.
There's the action shots aren't mine, but the full stadium pictures are.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can see Brad's work everywhere. Saki Sushi Train has opened at 555 Cornhusker Road in Bellevue. And this is, I understand, from the same people that have Yamato, another sushi train, at around 74th and Pacific. If you're not familiar with these are the ones where the conveyor belt brings you your sushi. I've yet to go to one. I'm kind of like, I don't get the allure, but it seems kind of neat.
We're just regulars at like one sushi place that we like, and we just haven't really branched out for whatever reason.
I go to sushi place and I just order my sushi.
Yeah,
but I
too.
One of these days I'm going to try one of these sushi trains. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Shahin Afghan restaurant at 1115 South 119th Street. In English, that's by Big Fred's. It is opening a new location at 62nd and Maple in Benson on March 8th. I do not know whether this is a second location actually or a relocation.
Speaking of Benson, I got to check out the new B5 Brewing last weekend.
How was it?
Awesome. It's not open yet. They don't have their liquor license yet, but Aaron, the guy and him and his family that are opening it, they hope to be open now the first week of April. They're just kind of waiting on their liquor license. But Aaron's a super good dude, and he makes really good beers.
Oh, I'll have to get up and try that. So I'll have a beer with you up there sometime.
You go.
I tried a new place yesterday for lunch, the BBQ chicken. It's out of South Korea, the Korean fried chicken. Really good, but I ordered a chicken that had three flame symbols because I told the guy, I said, one flame symbol is probably not hot enough. I'm a little bit worried about 3. He's like, you only live once, get the 3. So I got the 3. It was good, but oh my God, it was pretty hot. I think next time I'm going to downgrade to 2 flame symbols, but it's on 132nd Street north of Center. Very, very good. Buffalo Wild Wings Go has opened its first Nebraska location in Vinton Square, 3116 South 24th Street in South Omaha. A relatively new concept. It's Buffalo Wild Wings, but takeout and delivery based. I think they have maybe just a couple tables in there. But I think this is a good sign for South Omaha getting some national brands.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity down there, and it's great to see some people investing.
Absolutely. Dirty Dough Cookies will hold a ribbon cutting on March 4th for its new location in La Vista. It's located really close to Cabela's and Embassy Suites. A while back, we reported that Hyde's Slides Burgers and Fries was coming to the old Over Easy restaurant space near 168th and Q. That has opened now. The business has a food truck and also an existing location inside the Grover Inn at 3505 South 42nd Street. I could walk there from my neighborhood.
Oh, nice.
To go give that a try. Skeffington's Formal Wear recently opened its first Nebraska location in Omaha's Clock Tower Village. That's right by the Westroads, on the east side of the Westroads. It is out of Des Moines, Iowa, and as the name would indicate, they sell suits and tuxedos and formal wear. Founded in 1951, they do have 4 locations throughout the state of Iowa. This is their first location anywhere outside of Iowa, Skeffington's Formal Wear. Turtle Doves is an event space in downtown Gretna. They're opening a second location at 37th and Leavenworth in Midtown. Interior construction is underway. They hope to be open in mid-April. They're going to have different ownership than the Gretna location, but the same website and the same calendar, so kind of the same company. And then we have a relocation, Mauve Clothing. Had been at 114th and Davenport Street. They recently moved to the Shops at Legacy near 168th and Wright Plaza. And music's playing, which means we're out of time, but I'll say really fast, Ellie's Chinchorro Caribbean Bistro on South 32nd Street closed, but they might be reopening in North Downtown. With that, Brad, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Brad Williams of Brad Williams Photography and E&A Consulting. Trenton will be back next week. Hope everyone has a great week. You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Good show.
It's a wrap. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.